kind of want to start the conversation off around the culture from both the leadership side and the candidate side and how it ties into workforce development. And Tom Wire, I will go ahead and let you kind of kick that off if that makes sense. So obviously we're dealing with anytime you're doing training, it's a cost center, right? You're either going to have to fly somebody out or do something like that. And obviously that has to be managed in the overall big picture of CapEx and margin maintenance and all those other things to make sure. What are you guys seeing to kind of address those culture shortfalls and changing that paradigm a little bit?
I would say so it's gonna really boil down to the leadership, because and I'll say why. You might think that employees have to have the mindset, but most employees, and I learned this back in the day from a coworker. Most employees don't come to work every day to find out how to do their own thing at the company or to screw someone over, right? Most are pretty content at doing what their boss tells them. Now, what we did when I was working with CBS was we ended up saying, hey, let's just do 1 day a month. 1 day a month, we're all going to sit down in the shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to do like an admin thing in the morning. And then all afternoon is a training session, right? And, we had the initial shutter shock during the first one. And everyone was like, so you kind of have to set your paces. But after they get used to saying, hey, this is going to be a normal. So 2 months goes by, we do twice. 3 months goes by, we did 3 of these now. Now they're like, okay, so now what's our topic next month? Because I want to kind of like prepare for it, I want to come in, maybe ask a couple questions of things I've seen out in the field, and then I can be more prepared. So that's why I say it's a management perspective. They have to really set the tone and the tempo for that. And then, the employees generally will follow suit because most employees want to do good for their employer. I mean, they want to be good at their job. They want to get pay raises. They want to advance in their career. And so they'll follow suit genuinely for the most part, but you got to sit there and set the tone for them, get past that initial shutter shock. And then you can start to really get down into the weeds and have some investment in it. And I have another comment to bring onto it, but I think it sticks more on the pay side of it, and I'll save it for later and everything. But
now, you mentioned kind of the shock of it and getting over that initial hurdle. So obviously there's going to be a changed perspective that comes to this. And in the world of it, we call it change management. It's literally an actual course of study that people can go to school for. How long did it take for that to kind of take hold, right? So you're going to get inevitably going to get some pushback, right? It's a change in the way we've always done business. And a lot of that is mindset driven. Was there anything that you had to kind of be forward thinking of to overcome some of those obstacles and getting buy-in?
As with all things, if you want to be successful, be prepared. So what I did was I structured the day. And I structured the entire day to make sure that I left a little bit of slack in there, because you always have to have some gray area. Some areas might run over, some might go short, fine, whatever. Throw in a team lunch. Throw in some building things, employees start to look forward to this day. And it becomes very advantageous for everyone. I mean, you would be surprised the things that we kind of identified. I mean, we found out that we had schedule conflicts 3 months in advance because of this. I mean, there was a lot of things that became very beneficial from these types of meetings. And then the whole afternoon was just training, which is, on our own equipment in our own shop. So it's not like I send them to Megger and they go run someone else's equipment that they're not going to see for another 5 years because we don't have the money to procure one, right? We're only training on the equipment that we have in the shop. So in an environment that we can control. So.
And I would say that's also a pretty salient part of that is relevancy to whom you're delivering your training to.
Yeah.
So if I've got a guy that's a breaker technician that's not going to be testing relays, do you think he really is going to care about it at that moment, about the relays, vice what he's doing for breakers at that moment and what it benefits him?
Only as much as you make him.
Yeah. Well, and so it's carrot and stick equation. So you said what only as much as you make. What are some of those tools in your tool bag to make them? Are you monitoring their performance on the backside of that, or what does that look like?
I've learned throughout being a trainer that you can't just go full bore straight in and say, hey, here's the theory behind it. Because most people just sit there and they kind of like, whatever, right? and they're not really invested in it. So you have to really, like you said, carrot and stick, get them invested in it first. So say, hey, look, we're going to talk about capacitive reactance, and they're going to be like, what, right? And so then I say, look, this is how it's helped me in the past. I went up to some medium voltage bus. We kept tripping on our AC high pot. I measured the capacitance, the resistance. I calculated what the total power requirement was at 27 kV. And I told my boss, we need a bigger high pot. This is how much juice we need. Let's get that in here. And then we ran it, no issues. Never had to break bus anymore. And I said, this can be a benefit to your company and your team if you know when and how to use it. And so get them invested in the training and then start delivering on the training. Because then they're like, okay, now I see how this matters, right? I think that's one of the biggest things to do.